think you're amazing. I just think you're the coolest guy around. What? What? You see me playing with my toys again? Don't tell anyone about this. Please don't. Anyway, let's put my toys back. So, why are we going to talk about She-Ra? I want to talk about season 5. Why would someone who likes Metallica, an older chap and it's aimed for kids, like She-Ra? Well, I love the version back in the 80s, and me and my two girls have been watching it ever since the beginning, and it's all been coming to this point, season 5. Season 4 ended on a cliffhanger, with Glimmer being trapped by Horde Prime, who'd taken over Hordak, who captured Hordak and taken over the realm, and Glimmer is left on the ship by herself. She sacrificed herself. She-Ra's injured, her sword is broken, and it's all been up to season 5. Very much along the lines of Star Wars. The guy who, or the person who wrote She-Ra off, clearly likes Star Wars. It's a big influence on it. So let's just talk about some of the characters quickly. I made a little note so I remembered what to talk about. So, in our house, I'm going to talk about some of our favourite characters. First of all, Catra. The biggest story arc, I think. She probably had the biggest role in the season, the biggest twist, doing the full Darth Vader, going from bad to good. But that was quite early on, actually, she turned. Obviously, we had her scenes at the beginning with Glimmer when they were trapped, and then she turned good and freed Glimmer to save Adora, She-Ra. And then, obviously, towards the end, she sort of made a friend with another cat that made her invisible, and you saw some sort of that she did have a bit of a nice personality to her, and she was a good guy. And then at the end, obviously, we had that big scene where her and She-Ra are together to save the world and the heart, and you had that big scene where they kiss and they're in love. That broke my heart, really, because I always wanted She-Ra for me, but don't tell anybody that. So let's move on. So we've got She-Ra. I've got to stop saying it, obviously, because you guys might not have seen it. We've got She-Ra. Now, when we first found her at the beginning of season 5, she was a bit broken. Her sword was broken. She'd lost her friends. It's very Empire Strikes Back. And she had to go all the way through the series, slowly building up, till eventually she found out that she didn't need the sword to become She-Ra, and it was within herself. And she changed at that moment, and there's a brilliant new animation of her getting really big. Rather than her learning the powers, it's like she'd gone full force and she knew what she was doing, like she'd gone full Jedi. She went out in space, she could fly, she could jump on meteors, she was like overpowered like the Hulk. And that was a cool scene. My girls noticed all this new hair, the new design. I didn't notice it, I was just looking at her legs, to be honest. That was an awesome scene. And then again, it's all her interactions with all the other characters, and mainly her and Catra, and then she admits that she loves Catra as well at the end. They have the big kiss. We talk about one of the other scenes that caught my eye at the end. This is like my first reaction after watching it. There's probably loads of stuff. I did make a little note. Yeah, so we'll go to Glimmer again. At the beginning, she was obviously with Horde Prime on the ship. I think her character was a little bit downplayed in this one, because most of it was in the last season where she sacrificed herself, and well, she lost her mum in the other series. And then there was obviously the scene with her and her dad. That was cool at the end, where she used her powers and sacrificed herself and turned her dad back, for being a bad guy to a good guy after he'd been like hypnotized by Horde Prime's chips. What else have we got down here? Oh yeah, forget about my kids' favourite characters. They're two favourites. We could talk about all the characters forever on this, but I don't want to make this too long. So we got Entraptor, my kid's favourite, joint with Shadow Weaver. She's like the gadget babe. Her and Hordak's relationship, well, not relationship, but obviously Hordak captured her in season 4, and you saw Hordak was weak, and she made a suit and used the crystal to make him more powerful, made a nice suit. And obviously with Hordak, Hordak was captured by Horde Prime. It was his relationship with Entraptor and the diamond that turned him round to save the day right at the end. So that brings us to Horde Prime. Wicked bad guy, right up there with Skeletor, but you can never beat Skeletor, to be fair. Evil, very much a bit like Thanos in Avengers, wanted to take over the world and basically clone everybody and make them into his own mould. And then you see all of his evil plans where he's cloning himself hundreds of times and his warriors. And Hordak, his brother, right at the end, just as he's about to take over, realises that Entraptor saved him with a diamond and realises who he is, and chucks Hor Prime over the top, very much like the Emperor again in Return of the Jedi, throwing him into the pit at the end and saves the day. But Hor Prime projects himself back into Hordak, and then he goes back and carries on trying to take over the planet again. Little did he know, Catra and She-Ra's love saved the day at the end, breaking my heart in the process. I obviously wanted to see She-Ra to be after me, clearly. Anyway, back to the show. So some of the cool scenes that we liked. We're not talking Shadow Weaver, the House's absolute favourite character. From the original series to this series, always been a House favourite. So we've seen her from being really bad, Catra destroying her crystal, and then she's like losing her marbles a bit and lost her way. Then she comes back and half saves the day again. All the way through it, we're thinking she might turn and be evil again, but she's at the end, she sacrifices herself to save everybody, and then she takes her mask off, and you see what's underneath that mask. Cool, like all scarred face, but she looks back, saves the day. We always think that we thought she might turn bad, and there might be another season with her in it, but who knows? And then the one scene that I love personally, for the throwback to the 80s, there's loads of throwbacks, was the scene at the end where Hordak comes back, looks at Adora, and then he flashes back and says, "I remember you," and you see him stealing her as a baby, as a throwback to the 80s, because obviously in the original Hordak and Skeletor stole, it was Hordak, sorry, stole Adora and ran away to his realm and took her away from He-Man, a long lost brother. And that was a nice little flashback, a little throwback to the original. Anyway, so the question is there going to be a season 6? This is Netflix biggest original series ever, I think, of a cartoon. And it's such a shame that season 6 may not be happening. They've said this is the end. They rounded off all the character arcs in a nice way. Everybody ended up being good, which, you know, I would hope they were going to throw back and maybe see Shadow Weaver as a bad guy. Everything ended up good at the end. My girls definitely want season 6, and I think there's definitely an option to do it, but I think DreamWorks and the creators have decided that's it now, which is a big shame. I'm wanting more, and my girls are wanting more, and maybe we'll get a wish. I don't know yet. Then we have He-Man. Is there going to be a crossover? I believe not, because when He-Man comes at the end of the year, obviously She-Ra's more towards kids like me and my girls, and He-Man's going to be for the older audience. Quote is, He-Man to be made how we always wanted it to be, and I think it's going to be aimed at sort of an older range of people, so I don't think there's going to be any crossovers. Anyway, that's it from me. I had to do a little She-Ra video, move away from my normal Star Wars, because I think it's great, and we want season 6. This is for my girls, because they're going to bend my ear. I'm going to go away and carry on playing on my toys. If you like this video, let me know what you thought about the She-Ra series, if you watched it with your kids, or you watched it yourself. Let me know what you think, what they did with the characters. Do you want season 6? I do. If you like the toys, hit a like as well. I'm going to go away and carry on playing with them a bit, and I'll catch you again. See you soon.